Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Here it is.
You are listening to
Kayak Adventure Series.
Kayak Adventure Series. This is where you choose your own adventure. You want to be offshore, you want to be shallow, you want to go up the
You
creek,
want to have a kayak that is sophisticated.
or a kayak that is simple.
You get to choose your own adventure.
Oh, looky there. That's a micro bag. I hope you brought the family.
Micro
This
bag.
is wild. Hey, this adventure is going to be amazing. Woo! Kayak Adventure Series live. We are officially done. I know I missed a couple of weeks. Jake missed a week a couple weeks ago being on vacation, but we're all back. We got the band back together.
Back together, man. Back together.
So,
Is it? I love it.
It's great. You know, we did a long stretch where we went over the individual events, which was fun, and it was fine. It was great, especially the Shoaly Palooza, the first one coming up. I'm so excited about that. Had no idea that even though you said they look like a smallmouth, but they have a bigger mouth.
Yeah.
Like, say no more. That's all I needed to hear.
Exactly.
I wanted to go catch them. But today's show is not one of those longer shows. This is going to be fun. Micro bags, and I'll let Drew talk more about it, but we have two of my favorite YouTube channels. Like, call it what you want. Influencers, YouTube, I pay the $18.99 for YouTube Premium because that's what's on in my house all day. I just turn on YouTube and I just binge watch fishing channels and influencers and all that. So how's it going, guys? That was a long intro by me. I'm
pretty
pumped
good.
up. I had it all. It was all built up.
Yeah. It's been a while. Yeah, I'm excited, man. Speaking of Shoaly Palooza, by the way, Shoaly School is tomorrow night. It's the big event that the Flint River Keeper puts on. It's one of their big annual fundraisers. I will be there in Macon, Georgia, so I will see you there. If you're registered for that, it's I can't remember, it's like $20 or something to enter, and all proceeds, of course, go to that Flint River Keeper. But it's already sold out. So and they're using a theater, which is cool that they're using a theater. You know, because they kind of got that idea after seeing what we were doing and holding that event in the theater. So it's pretty cool. Speaking of which, I got Henry Jackson calling me right now live. So I'll see you guys there if you're coming to that. And then also, what else was I going to say? Oh, I might swing by just briefly. You'll probably not be able to catch me there. Very briefly. I will be at the Great Lakes Fishing Expo this weekend. But I know Raccoon Creek Outfitters will be there with a bunch of boats, all the brands that they carry. So they will be there, and you guys can go check them out. Should be a good show. But anyway, I am doing good. All is well. The only thing I want to say real quick that's interesting, I might have to jump out for a second. So yesterday or 2 days ago, I was in a store, right? And when I came back out of the store, my truck driver's side window was just, that timber glass was just shattered. Like, no rhyme or reason. It was actually a small store and they had cameras going. So I went back in there and the owner and I scrubbed through. We couldn't see anything that happened. No one went in to try to break in. It was just shattered, just randomly. So anyway, the guy from Safe Flight Auto, you know, no free ads, but Safe Flight Auto doing a good job coming to my house to fix it. So
man,
that's
that had to be a mess. So much glass.
It was, but it didn't all like break apart and fall. It's still there connected. But if you shut the door hard, you hear a few pieces like fall into the door frame. But they'll be here between 11. So right now and 1, they said. So if I have to hop up, that's what I'll be hopping up to do. But he said he should not even need me. I just left the door open and the keys there. He said he could just fix it and all should be good. So we'll get the Tacoma back on the road here soon. But anyway, I got a couple other news and notes. But before then, I want to throw it over to Jake. Jake, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. I just caught a giant Missouri smallmouth last week, so I'm riding high.
Yeah, absolutely.
20-inch, 4-pound Ozark Smallie, which is like a unicorn. That's big. That's like the top of the mountain on those. So
nice job.
A unicorn bass. See, I've been thinking about another name for our big bass category, you know, and we may have a sponsor for that. It actually does start with a B, but anyway, could keep it big bass. But I was thinking, what if you were going to change it to something different and fun? You know, we go by longest, but longest bass doesn't sound good. But anyway, unicorn bass or gorilla bass or super bass.
What
or
about dinosaur? Because those
dinosaur.
smallies are so old. Like that's like a 20-year-old smallmouth. It's crazy.
Yeah. Let's dig into our sponsors and see who starts with a D and who I can use the alliteration. But anyway, I think we got it figured out. But there's definitely other things to call it besides big bass. And I'm always trying to do something different, as you guys know, with the kayak adventure series. I'm always trying to find different ways to do things, which I've been toying around with a cool, new, different idea that I'll be talking to you guys about offline. You guys can comment, of course. I'll see your comments about how to crown the champion. Like, instead of going in order like 10, 9, 8, and it's like a new way to do it on stage, or a different way that typical kayak fishing tournaments are done. Well, just to spice it up, so we'll see how that works.
We could dump the Gatorade on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Just dump the Gatorade bath. That could work for sure. Take the bets like the Super Bowl, what color it's going to be at each event. But yeah, Jake, that's good, man. Congrats on that big smallie. That is definitely a unicorn for Ozarks, catching that 20-incher, and we're going to see some of those at Poplar Bluff, I'm sure.
Yeah, believe it or not, like this river, it's a little bit more rare, but those ones down there, not to name any of them, but there's a couple where that's like commonplace. Now they might not be that thick, but they're going to be 20 plus inches. They're going to be like the long, skinny river smallmouth.
That's all we need.
And you were early, Jake. The Smalley games, I think they launched tonight. Is it tonight?
I know. I was thinking about that. I was like, man.
Oh yeah, that's right. Hey, by the way, before I forget, if you're watching on Instagram, I never say this every week, and we should. I'm pretty sure the Instagram comments do not come in. So if you're trying to comment on Instagram, there's no way I can go to the other tab and figure out and keep track of all those comments. So go to the YouTube channels or Facebook and comment over there if you want to comment. But we should. Yeah, here we go. Ryan Van Tyne is in. No surprise there. But let me get to my last couple of things, then we'll start bringing in some guests here. Guys, our Discord channel is public, and we need to post this. But can you guys help me out? We need to post this so I can get somebody to do it on our social media. But
there you go.
Yeah, post it there. Discord. Boom.
You can put it wherever.
Yep. It is. Was that on the private or is that on the public? Let's see.
It's public.
Are you posted on the public?
Well, no, that's our private chat. So
all right. Well, let's post it on the. We'll post it on the public, right? I mean, why not? Let's get crazy here. Oh, that's our Discord channel. That is the best way, guys. Remember forums? Forums were awesome. It was a great way to keep like information organized and different different forums had different titles for different topics. It was so easy. And then Facebook groups came around and it kind of left forums in the dust. But the reality is they're not very easy to like. So the problem is, we've kind of found the solution. If anyone out there is a Discord user, you know what I'm talking about. Once you use it for a while, you're like, this is so much easier and better than Facebook groups has ever been for so many reasons. And you have to understand it and be in it to know that, and you'll get it. But anyway, so we have that publicly. You guys can go check it out. Eventually people are going to get on there. We're going to be talking about, hey, I need a place to stay, or I need, a partner for the team division.
I've got it broken down for us in every event. So every single event has its own Discord channel where you can chat about the event. You can figure out friends that are going, stuff like that. So
yeah. Man, I got all kinds of calls coming on. We got Amanda Brannon, our tournament director, calling right now. So it's kind of nuts. But let's go at their last news and notes, and we'll get these guys on. The last thing I got is the payout charts are done. Like I said, Amanda actually had a small surgery, so that's why they're not up on the website yet. But like I said, if 200 people in the individual division, I said this last week, at $150 a pop, 200 people, you're going to win $7,000. We figured a way to make it hit $7,000 for first place at 200. So that's pretty sweet. And I think even 150 is still 6,000. So it's going to be awesome. And then that's not counting what you could win in the team division or micro bag if you want to try the Triple Crown or whatever, or not including any of the joint events that are going to be with us, including, there's always a joint tournament with a local club at every event. And my last thing I have to update you guys on our news and notes here is, which we should put that news and notes. Do we already put the news and notes graphic up just to shout out the Omnia Fishing there? We'll do that. But the last thing to mention is the Slay Nation. I talked to Frankie and TJ over there, Frankie at Slay Nation, and there was a New York and Pennsylvania battle of the border for Slay Nation. It was going to be held on the Susquehanna River the exact same day we were having our Susquehanna River event. We talked it out. We all thought it was a great idea just to have them join ours because we have New York water imbalance and Pennsylvania. So it actually really works for the, New York, Pennsylvania battle of the border, but they're going to make this event open because Slay Nation's like a members only thing. So I believe. So they were like, yeah, we'll make this an open event so that anybody and everybody can join. So on the Susquehanna, which we had a lot of entries. So thanks to those at Slay Nation, we had several new entries come to that event. But listen to this. If we have the KAS event, the Kayak Anglers event, the Keystone Bass Kayak Series event, and the Slay Nation, if you were to enter like all that stuff, I mean, there's no doubt someone's walking away with 5 figures at the Susquehanna event this year. So Fiesta on the Susky, that'll be fun. But that's all I got, guys. You guys have anything else before we bring on some guests?
No, just get in that Discord channel. Let's
get in it. Yeah, go get in it. All right. And, maybe Omnia Fishing, by the way. I'm sorry.
The main event.
GoPro highlight. GoPro highlight. The main event brought to you by GoPro. If you don't already, go get you a GoPro or 4. The new 12 is amazing. I got the empty box behind me. Yeah. GoPro 12. All right.
I haven't tried the 12 yet.
Stepping up the production value, Billy. But by the way, don't forget to put let's put that banner for that Omnia Fishing code on the bottom. We'll scroll across the bottom here in a minute. And you guys can get 15% off, I believe, for using the KAS 15 code.
Yes.
But yeah, go ahead.
Bought something the other day in fast shipping as well. It was not out of stock and it was shipped right away. I was pleasantly surprised.
I downloaded their app. The Premium Pro version is unreal, dude. They have all the Navionics CMAP charts. You can toggle, put anything on, wind direction, water temperature. It's pretty nuts, man. You can see hard bottoms, vegetation bottoms. Like that is how insane this app is. You guys
does that include the free shipping and stuff too from them?
I believe that's when you pay for that, you get the extra, like the free shipping. It's kind of like
that's awesome. That's a good deal because I used to have their old version of Premium and it was good just with that. So this is like a little added bonus.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. So you guys definitely go get that Premium Pro from Omnia Fishing app. Sorry, just want to get that up, Billy. Back to the main event.
The main event. I kind of gave it away at the beginning a little bit, but 2 of my personal favorite YouTube channels out there right now. We have 2 guests, John Dalton and Alex Rudd, and I will bring them in and let Drew say anything else you want to say as I add these guys to the stage. All
right, what's up, John?
What's up?
What's up, guys? So yeah, John, I mean, guys, you know John Dalton, certainly. You guys, if you're in fishing, you're watching this, I'm sure you do. Creek Fishing Adventures, but if not, you should go hit the subscribe button on his channel on YouTube. I mean, incredible story. We don't got to get into all of it today, but I'll tell you this, man, this guy works as hard as anybody and has passion for fishing. If you ever watch any of his videos, it really does feel like, people say this about you, John, it feels like every fish catch you actually have happen, right? It feels like you're first on camera. And that's what people love about you, is genuine. You love it. And it doesn't matter if they're big or small. Yeah. You target the small, which is why we have you on here as our microbag king at the moment. You're our expert for this microbag, which we're going to get into. And then Alex, you're here to talk about.
And then there's Alex Rudd. He's here too.
Yeah, Alex Rudd, dude. We're going to bring up this 2-man team division because it's sponsored by X2, you know, the ×2, right? 2-man team division. And you and I in the X2 team, and then being a sponsor of that division is pretty cool. And then also just getting into any other topics you want to touch on. I know you and I had a big long sesh the other day on Friday at your podcast. It was pretty wild. If you guys want to watch that one, you want to get into a little bit of live scope talk, a little bit of all that drama. A little bit, a lot of it. But
I swung the bat on that one. I thought, oh, you know, like I'm going to try to be as like neutral as an observer as I can. And then I got about halfway through it. And I'm like, all right, I'm picking up the bat and swinging it. Like, let's go. Let's just knock it out of the park. No, but yeah, I'm glad to be here. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Let's get this thing going.
That's going to be a good time. Alex Rudd Fishing, you guys go and subscribe to him as well. Great content you guys are putting out, and can't wait to see you guys on the Kayak Adventure Series. I know, Alex, you're going to be at 3 of them at least. John, it sounds like you'll be at a couple that you can make.
Yeah, at least 2 or 3.
At least 2 or 3. And, buddy, I think it's pretty cool. We end on Saturday. So if you're close enough, you can get back home, teach those kids at church of that,
right.
You know, the children's ministry that you work with there. It's really awesome, man, that you do that. And that is a cool thing about the KAS ending on Saturday. People can get back if they're close enough to Sunday activities. But if not, you know, we do have a kayak fishing faith fellowship at these events too, that I believe you might be in some of those as well and helping out. So that's usually 30 minutes before we go at the theaters. You get in the theater and meet up and, you know, just kind of catch up with each other and have a little short, you know, I don't know what we exactly want to do, but just a fellowship, kind of talk about some stuff and And if anyone's struggling, it's a good time to kind of like, hey, we got you, man. Like, we got you. We're praying for you. You know, we all go through stuff, and we try to act like we don't on social media and everything's like perfect. No, it's not true, man. So this is the cool part about the KAS. People really can bond like that. So thanks for being on, guys. Let's dig into the micro bag. This is a deep dive. So we're going to need you guys with your comments. You guys listening, watching right now, I guess. I'm going to pull up your comments right here. I know Jake and Billy are going to keep an eye on them. John, what do you think about this? When you heard about it, what's your general 10,000 foot sort of view of the micro bag? Is this going to take off? I mean,
I got a little rant if you're ready for it.
We're ready.
All right, why, how, and what lures you should use. So first off, Drew, I really appreciate you doing this because it's fun that you don't take these kayaks tournaments, like everything doesn't have to be too serious where you can't just have some fun. And you know, and so this is a fun little option. And first off, why would you want to do the micro series challenge? Because it's a fun story, and think of all the stories you can tell and all the people that are going to be talking about it, and you know, all the different things going to happen. Also, why would you want to join it? Because most of the guys that are going to go out there, that sign up for the micro series are going to forget to get their 5. Like, they're going to get so caught up that they probably won't fill out their 5. So if you sign up, I have a feeling that a lot of people are just going to catch a couple, and then they're going to get so focused on catching their big fish that they won't even fill out their 5 limit. But I've been also thinking about like how you're going to catch them. And you're going to have to put a little thought into it. And I got a couple lures here. I know Drew loves the little Z-Man.
Oh, yeah.
I got these ready to go, these micro finesse lures. But just grab a little crappie lure, just something small, because you're really trying to target. If you've never tried to catch, 5 to 10 inch fish, they're small and they're very shallow usually. Like on a lake, largemouth is probably what I'm targeting. But if you're in a river, you might have trouble even catching them under 12 inches. Where you're going to have to go like searching for them up some really shallow creeks. You might have to get out and drag your kayak up a little tributary off a river or something to go get that limit. But yeah, it doesn't take much, and you can even throw these kind of little lures on a 1/16 ounce jig head. You don't have to have an ultralight rod, but you can throw them on a medium rod, but probably medium light to an ultralight. And I can't wait to see what all happens. Plus, I know there's somebody that's going to downsize to a small lure, end up catching one of their biggest fish of the day. It's going to happen. I've caught 18 and 19 inch bass off little crappie lures many times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's going to happen for sure. So yeah, Andrew Thomas Leonard says micro chatterbait. Man, you guys are going to be surprised. I mean, if you've actually gone and tried this, like John's saying, it's actually surprising. Like I would say you probably can't even catch a 5 on the chatterbait. If you're looking for 5s, you're looking for maybe 8s and 9s and 10s, even a little chatterbait is too big. I'll tell you that right now. From my experience doing this and testing it, it's actually too big. But anyway,
have you seen those like really tiny ones? Like they're like maybe this big, and they have like a little tiny.
They pair great with a little Bobby Garland.
Yeah,
I've actually used those.
You put like a little crappie type.
We'll see.
Spot.
We will see.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. Maybe it works. We'll see about that. But yeah, there's some Z-Man stuff there from their micro finesse. And by the way, their jig heads are super important with that Elastec. You really need to get their little jig head so it holds it. But I'm talking, see that little mini chatterbait right there? Go pull that chatterbait up, Billy. That I'm telling you, it's still too big. Like for a 5-inch fish, until you put them on the board, you don't understand. Like you just
that's even bigger than the other ones they make. They make another one that's like super tiny and it doesn't have a skirt, and you can just put like the little panfish type.
They do make a really small one. I've caught yellow perch on them. That one might work, but you're kind of gonna want to fish something kind of a little bit slower,
right?
And just a small presentation to kind of get those little bass to eat them.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think so, and I'll toss this over to Rudd here because you fished tons of rivers, creeks, lakes, everything too, and that's what we're highlighting on the Kayak Adventure series. But I think the key to this, you think about it, where bass spawn on a lake, the small fish that grow to 5 inches are spawned like that year. Now in May, obviously our first event, this is what's tricky. I don't know how you can even find like small fish that are 5. You know what I'm saying? Like there may be like a minimum you can't even like a 6.5 might be as smallest you can catch or whatever, 7, because that you're catching fish that spawned last year. You know what I'm saying? So even though 5 is the minimum, it's going to be depending on the time of year. But here's what's weird. You get later in the year, we get to that Susquehanna event, we get to Wisconsin, the broodstock. Now you're actually getting to where fish are 3, 4, and maybe hitting 5. And so you're going to have this 3, 4, 5-inch fish. And then these ones that are like 8, 7, 8, 9. And you need those 5s. You know what I mean? It's going to be interesting. But so I'm thinking this is my theory. Alex, you tell me what you think. If you later in the year, if you are on a lake, if you say, how far away could those little fish really like move? You know what I mean? They got to still be kind of around the spawning grounds, right? I mean, to kind of grow up there in the shallows, they're not going to be on the main lake, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
What
I mean, I think, that makes sense to me, right? Logically, you would think a freshly spawned little bass. So, okay, so let's look at it from like a scientific point of view. A bass is going to grow the most it does in its first year of life, and then it slows down after that, right? And so, like, if they're, as long as you're pinky, right, little bitty, like, tiny little fish, they just aren't going to have the strength or the ability to swim very far away, I wouldn't think. And I think also just that instinct to not get absolutely murdered by something bigger than them probably keeps them close as well. And so, yeah, it makes sense to me. I have noticed on some of these lakes around here, like, if I'm around a good area that's got a lot of, fry and a lot of fry garters, that you give it, 6 months, and then you got a bunch of fish in that area that are like 5 inches long. You know what I mean? It's like, it's pretty funny. So I don't think they're moving very much. But I don't really know. I'm going to let John do that. I'm going head hunting. Like, dude, if we're on the Susquehanna River, your boy's going to have a glide bait in his hand and a 120 size Chapo. And I'm going, John knows. That's the best part about me and John is we'll go do a creek float, and John's over here throwing Bobby Garlands, and I'm like, I got a 9-inch glide bait chucking it past him, and I'll get 4 or 5 bites all day long, but there'll be 4 or 5 of the right ones. But no, it's fun. I think it's going to be cool. I was telling you on my podcast, I said, I think what's so fun about it is, like, we've all had a tournament where we show up and it sucks. And it's just like, we totally just whiff, and you might catch 1 or 2 fish. But if you got something that you could pivot to and like pick up a crappie jig or something small like that and go try to catch 5 little ones just to have something fun to do because it was a big old whiff, then it's something cool to just add on. You know what I mean? You can kind of hop in that pot too and participate in it. So it's going to be good.
I think that's to John's point, about not everyone's going to get 5. You don't even show up in the leaderboard until you get 5. That's, I believe, how Tourney X is going to work with this division. You're not going to show up because we got to reverse the leaderboard, right? First of all, the lower is better. And then, so obviously if you have 1 fish and you pop in the leaderboard, you're going to be, look like you're in first place. So you don't even pop up. So I think John's right. A lot of people aren't going to do it because they're doing good, and they were just entering this category to hedge. And they're actually optimistically hedging too. Like, some people are going to say, I think I can catch the biggest 5 and the smallest 5 and win both, and maybe even win the team division on top of it. So you're going to have people that are hedging both directions. Other people are like, I'm going to be in it just in case, like you're saying, you have a bad tournament and you got something still to look forward to and try to like compete in, and what I think is interesting is that what's cool is the water, like you said, John, the smaller creeks and smaller places that, those side channels on the rivers that are too shallow really to get your kayak down sometimes, or they're too shallow and small. There's not enough water going down that side channel to have a big enough, bass for the 5 biggest. That's some of the juice, guys.
That's where they're at. Yeah.
That's where they're at. They're there. You can definitely catch them on the main, river as well and stuff wherever you're going down, but they're in that little stuff. And as John knows, up the little tributary creeks. So what I think is cool is we're able to use, the resources, all the water resources for this tournament, not just, the bigger water. We're able to use like a lot of the stuff that never gets pressured, and it doesn't bother anybody that's going after the biggest 5. Cause like, dude, if you're up some little side channel, you're not bothering me if I'm going after the biggest 5, because I'm not going to be down that little skinny side channel where I got to drag and get out and wade to even catch those things. So,
but here's the thing, Drew. Here's the dangerous part about John is that you'll say that, and he'll be in some ditch somewhere, and he'll be catching 20 inchers somehow. I don't know how he does it. And there's been many a times that old John Dalton has beat my teeth in a tournament because, oh boy, you text him, you're like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I found this little creek that cuts off, and I'm like 16 miles up it, and I'm catching 20 inchers. I'm just like, come on, John. So that's the thing about John. You got to watch him on both ends there. Not only will he catch the little ones, but somehow he'll mess up around with that dang on bubblegum swirl yum dinger and beat your eyeballs in with 20 inchers.
Got it ready.
They always got it ready. Yeah, that's true. Hey, Rudd, I'll call this now. You're throwing big stuff like that on the Susky for that one. I'm going to call it right now. You will catch a muskie on that trip.
Oh,
Throwing that
probably
stuff.
100%.
You're going to catch a
yeah.
muskie.
If there's one thing about Alex Rudd is there's two certainties that if people say there's no largemouth in a place, I'm going to catch a largemouth. Like there's no doubt. And then number two, if I'm on any river that has a muskie, there is going to be a muskie tries to eat something that I have eventually before it's all said and done. So yeah, I probably will catch a big one.
I had a muskie try to eat the smallie I hooked on the Susky, so it's going to happen. And I think that happened to Drew too. He actually was fighting the muskie.
Yeah,
That's
that happened.
awesome.
During the tournament. Yeah, during the tournament. Actually, Jeff Little had it on camera, but you really could never see the muskie before he let it go. I mean, I saw it close by, but his camera didn't pick it up.
Those muskies are crazy. The ones around here are like, I don't know, they're like extra crazy. I don't know why, but like I've had them like rush my kayak before. Like I'll be floating down a creek and like just they'll come swimming up hard and like right before they get to it, they go, "Oh crap, I can't eat that," and they like back off and they'll swim away. It's the craziest thing. They're nuts around here.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Drew or Jacob, is there more muskie up the Susky or the? I know we fished the Bass Nation, the lower part. We're fishing the upper part. Is there more upstream or lower part, or are they just all throughout it?
I think they're throughout it, but I think where we're going actually probably has higher. I mean, they tend to favor like deeper channels. I think. I fished the Juniata during pre-fishing that area and like during the tournament. I saw a ton there, a ton.
Yeah,
that's where that one tried to eat the smallmouth.
I think that there's a lot of like if you look at the topography of the Susquehanna where we're going, the only thing that's different about it, John, if you remember in the Harrisburg area and just north, you got all these like ledges and shoals.
Yeah.
Just it cuts through those mountain chain, and just all these ledges and rapids. There are certainly some rapids up there, but not as many. It's actually like you go into these little pools like a creek, like with the pebbly kind of creeks, there's not real true giant like rocks and boulders. And there are big rocks and boulders up there, but there's just not these ledges and all these giant boulders everywhere out in the middle as much. There's not as much of that. It's more just like you're, in this extra giant sized creek and it gets wide and deep. You got those slow holes, the musky holes, and then it narrows up, where there's gravel. It narrows up to like one side of the river and it creates like a wave train type of, rapid, if you will. And it goes down like that and then opens up to the next pool, and then it keeps going like that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I think that a lot of people are definitely going to go fish those smaller creeks, but I'm just curious how many people are going to target this and only this, and how cool it's going to be if somebody's holding up a check, a micro check, albeit it's still going to be money, but like they won whatever it is, $500 or something.
Check needs to be the biggest check that you have. Though. Yeah. Like it needs to be an oxymoron. You just need to have a giant check with just a little writing right in the middle.
Yeah, micro. Yeah, that's true. I think someone's going to definitely people are going to start targeting it and knowing that you got to kind of be all in to win it, most likely. And is it easier to beat out the whatever, like 20 people who are just focusing on it, or 10 or 15, however many it is? Is that, like, in other words, from just a monetary standpoint, if you're looking at it like that, is it easier to do that than it is to go for the biggest fish and still end up in the top 15%? Which, by the way,
it's harder.
Yeah, I think it could be.
Like this comment right here brings up a point that we've talked about many times, that measuring a 5-inch bass is much harder because they won't sit still. And it's true. Like you try to put them on the board and they're like, "Nah, I'm good," and they're like moving around. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Well, and two, you got to think like just the nature of trying to catch small bass. And John, you know this. You're going to catch every other thing that lives in that body of water. I mean, you're going to go through 300 bluegill before you get to that little bitty bass. It's going to be interesting.
I think if you're really trying to find the small ones, like in the summer, you're better to go to a lake and go as shallow as you can go. That's where the little bitty bass are. They're and you might even be able to just see them. And if you come across a little school, they kind of feed together, like those 7, 8, 9 inches, they all feed together, and you might be able to pick them out and catch all your fish in 10 minutes and just get them done. But if you come across where you see them and you're in the competition, I say you just go for it. Try to get your limit. Because like fishing the Susky, I think people are going to be, they're like, all right, I'm going to pick up my little lure, and you're just going to catch 14 and 15 inch smallies. Like, I don't even know how you would catch the small ones in the Susky other than going
I caught 2 7-inch smallmouth on the same jerkbait in
That's
like
hilarious.
in an area.
Let's
So
see.
like that would have been 2 good fish for a micro bag, 2 7-inchers.
I
Yeah.
think what's gonna be funny is everybody's methods for doing it. Like, so for me, like I'm sitting here thinking about it. So obviously I'm wanting to fish like the tournament and go try to catch 5 biggest that I can, right? That's kind of the way that my brain works. But I'm thinking like, okay, so let's say, I get on a bite early in the morning and, by 10 o'clock, I've got, 96 inches. And it's like, yeah, you want to upgrade, but also it's like if you like John said, you're kind of rolling by a place and you're like, hey, look at all this those little ones under there, and then just try to get 7 or 8 real quick, put them on the board, and then go, okay, let's go get that upgrade.
Yeah.
Or is it going to be one of those things where people are like, let me get my micro bag for like I love like the thought. It almost makes it so much funner.
Yeah.
Like funner. It's the funnest.
Yeah.
But it's more fun. But like I just think it makes it a lot more fun to think about it that way than to like, I don't know, be so dedicated to like,
That's
God,
a
if
good
I
point,
don't get
dude.
my 5 fish and this, it's like, no, let's mix it up. Let's have fun. Like it's okay. Like we're
That's
here
a
to
really
have
good,
fun. Yeah.
really good point. You know what that could be? You ever had like a day where, like you're saying, you want to upgrade, but you can't upgrade much more, or even if things are just you've lost a couple of big fish, but you go and have lunch, or you go to a different spot, you just reset yourself, right? You totally reset. This could be a way to reset your brain. You know what I mean? Just take a little break. Let's go over here. Because let's say you got a spot where it's reloading. If you sit there, then like you're just gonna, they're never really gonna reload. You're right on top of them. You need to back off and do something else for a little bit, but still stay close to your spot so you can keep an eye in case another angler comes around. Go hit that dock with the little ice rod and skipping underneath there. Whatever the slingshot.
But you could have 2 rods, so you could have like a little crappie float and fly. Always going, just sitting there bobbing in the current.
That's one of the best things I've heard. I forgot about that because we do allow the 2 rods, and we're thinking like you're chasing, throwing back in.
A 20-incher doing that.
You might.
Somebody's gonna catch a giant when they thought they were going for small fish, because those big ones, they do that. I've done that so many times where I'm like, I'm not catching bass today. I'm gonna switch just multi-fishing. Boom! End up catching my biggest bass today. I've done that so many times.
I had a crappie fisherman last winter who he caught a 7-incher or 7-incher, a 7-pounder on a crappie jig off the dock in the winter.
Someone's gonna have one of those little bells on the rod, and they're gonna throw out a bobber and a float and fly on the other side of the kayak when they're not fishing. They're just gonna wait and hear that ding ding ding.
They better be recording. So these stories are all great, but I want to see this on video. I want to see someone who quit fishing because they were frustrated or for whatever reason they decided to go after the micro bag and it worked out. But I want to see the story unfold. So if you guys are listening to this,
double up. They have their bobber out there. They catch a 5-incher and a 20 at the same time.
I'll tell you, like, what's funny to me is how many times I've caught little 6-inch fish on giant things, like things that I'm like, what was even going through your little brain when like 120 size Chapo is the one that like, I cannot tell you how many 6 to 10-inch fish I've caught on a 120 size Chapo. And like, you'll just be reeling it and it just kind of like gets mushy and like doesn't want to plop right. And you think you got a leaf and you rip it in there and it's a bass about that long. And I'm like, what were you even doing there?
I think they're trying to like rip a piece of it off, because if you ever watch like aquarium fish, like you'll throw something huge in there and they'll come up there and like hit it. And like, I think they're trying to like, oh, well, maybe I can steal a leg off this cicada or whatever.
It's like a lion going after a wildebeest or something. Let me just make a chunk out of it, I think that's what they're trying to do.
That's where I want to see somebody recording. Instead of being mad, they're like, yes, I've been looking for that.
Exactly. Like they pull in that little dink. Dude, that's the coolest thing I ever heard, was having the 2 rods out, using the micro bag, have a micro bag, a float and fly on a bobber or something. I mean, it's not going to, I just think it sounds cool in theory, but it's a lot harder to do than you think. You know what I mean? Like, because you're still moving, you're fishing. So, how often are you just, I guess if you're spot locked in one spot and you got a hole, then sure, why not? But I don't know. A lot of times those are offshore spots. So you're not going to catch a dink offshore. You still got to be close enough to get it close to a dock or somewhere. It'll be interesting to see how people play that, because it also can distract you from catching the biggest 5. It's not, it still takes time and work. So whether or not people take a break and reset, go skip that dock, keep an eye on their spot that they really want to see reset, or they just, focus on, like you're saying, Alex, take a break in the day. It's hard. It's going to be hard to take a break in the day if you're in the hunt on the biggest 5 and not, but there's also the thing I wanted to talk about and bring up with you guys. How does Friday play into this? Like, does someone on Friday say, I'm going to go try to crush the micro bag, get it out of the way? Or is it more like the opposite? You're probably thinking, let's get the big ones out of the way so I can use the second half of Saturday to micro bag. Because, I mean, you can't do a 12-mile float on Friday for, river or 10 mile or something. You got to kind of single access anyway. So maybe someone just hops to a bunch of different creeks and just tries to crush 5 and 6 inchers. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. Well, I mean, Friday's going to be interesting, period, because afternoon bites do happen. And like right now we're on a full moon. And so full moon kind of delays that bite a little bit. And a lot of times you're going to get on a better afternoon bite. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see. I think some tournaments could be won in that afternoon, depending on what the moon's doing, what the bite's doing. I mean, if we're in a shad spawn, like, because they'll spawn at daylight and right before dark. And so it's like there could be some dude sitting out there that gets on a stupid shad spawn at dark and then gets up the next morning and just upgrades what he needs to upgrade, and then just sits back and is like, okay, like literally the bite is done. I've got whatever 90 something inches here. Like, what do? I could go fish the micro bag, or do I go drag a jig until I try to crack maybe one more big one? I think the afternoon bite to me is probably the most interesting dynamic to this tournament. So we do it on the state tournament every year. We have that afternoon, right, John? In that on Fridays,
the KAS state tournament. Yeah. Friday afternoon, then Saturday morning.
And it's always interesting because like, you're sitting there and thinking to yourself, like, okay, I got to figure out what the fish are doing from like 12 until dark, as well as from daylight until 3. And it's like, there's going to be dudes out there that are pulling 12 and 13-hour days just to make sure that they understand the complete bite and not just one of the bites to be able to win a tournament. You know what I mean? And so I don't know, that part really interests me. And it's probably one of my favorite things because I love a good afternoon evening bite, and I've caught a lot of big fish in that time frame I've been in normal tournaments where I'm sitting there thinking, God, if we could just fish like 3 more hours, we would crack them. Like, and it's like, the bite's coming. And it's so Friday could be that day where you're like, oh, I'm going to be able to go crack them. But then you got to have that toolbox ready for Saturday morning as well, because there's going to be some dude that's figured out that morning bite. So it'll be fun.
Yeah,
I hate. I've done it a couple times. If you do try to float something in the evening, and it's something new, you want to get off that water before dark. Though I've floated in the dark. Oh man, that is scary. I hate that feeling.
We'll be ending at 7. Maybe Billy or someone can look up sunset for May 3rd. May the 3rd.
Oh, you'll be totally fine.
We'll be fine, but I'm saying, like, still, you gotta. I think people can fish until lines out time. That you're not. No one says you can't still take 2 or 3 hours to get out. I'm
just saying, if you didn't plan your trip and you actually got like 2 or 3 more miles to go, you're like, oh man,
exactly.
There's shoals coming up, there's trees down. That'd be something just to kind of watch out for. But also, the way, like, you know how it is. Every one of these tournaments, I feel like a front comes through. You could kill it Friday, and then nobody catches anything Saturday or something like that. Like stuff like that can change so fast.
Yeah, another thing that you mentioned, John, that makes sense about these little fish. This is a 5-inch right here, so that's how big it is. These little fish. 2 things actually. One, kind of like big fish. Whenever when you're fighting a big bass and you say, oh, it's a 20, you put it on the board, and how long is it?
18.
18 and a half, 19, 18 3/4. It's rarely 20. You know what I mean? The same thing happens with these little micros. You get them on the board, and we're like, oh yeah, we've caught, I'm always catching, 5, 6, 7 inches on, top waters and stuff like that. When you actually put it on the board, it's actually like, it's like 8 or 9 or 7 and a half or something. It's not really usually. That's what I'm saying. Usually. So to really get to the smallest fish, and that's what I was saying earlier, like, you actually really have to downsize more than you think to try to catch those. And what you said, John, the second thing is they hang in packs. They hang and they stay together in schools. They feel safer when they're smaller to school up like, bayfish do. And when you find them, you're going to catch a lot of them. And then the other thing is the best way, I think, to win, giving little tips here. Again, I'm not fishing these, but if it was me, sight fishing these things is the best way to do it. Yeah, like when you can. So in other words, let's say the Shoaly Palooza event, Lake Juliet is crystal clear. Okay. And the rivers are probably not going to be, for sure. So if you're trying to micro bag and you're trying to catch big fish also, maybe you go to a lake or even High Falls Lake could be clear enough. Depends. It's usually a little murkier, but you try to go to a somewhere clear, whether it's a clear creek or somewhere, and sight them. And the reason I say that is because when you see a bunch of them together, if you can at least see, you can tell the ones that are 5 and 6 versus like 8 or 9. You got to make an accurate cast, get it to the 5 or 6, because otherwise your 8s or 9s are going to come in and get it faster. So whoever you get it closest to, they're all going to bite. They're young fish. They're all stupid, right? They're going to bite. So it's going to be fun. You're going to catch a lot of fish. Like Rudd was saying, all different species. It's going to be crazy, but you got to be deadly accurate. The skill and the challenge is very equal to the skill and challenge it takes to catch a bigger fish, right? So I would sight fish them if it was me. I would try to downside as much as possible, get very accurate with my ultralight or fly rod or whatever you're going to use, and try to sight them to get your.
I think there's like some logic too. If you're going to go micro bag, you need to be in the right areas, because like some fish aren't going to move far from their spawning grounds, because you got to think about it. When you're 3 to 5 inches long, moving 1,000 feet is a big endeavor versus when you're 20 inches, right? Because that's a lot of energy you have to spend. That's a lot of like chances to get eaten by literally anything, right? So like I think there's like the energy consumption aspect of it, where when a fish spawns, they're probably not moving too far from where they were hatched until they get in a certain age. And I think that's why a lot of people, like, you always catch small dinks on like wobber ploppers and like jerk baits, and it's like, oh, I think this is like a 6-7 incher, and you put it on the board like you said, and it's actually just an 8, because a lot of those small ones are going to be pushed up into the spawning bays, and they'll stay there, you know, for maybe 60% of the year until they feel confident that they can go out and not get chomped. Yeah. But I think like the energy and metabolism aspect, it plays a huge part in that.
So I just Googled it just to see what is the average, like how far does like fish fry move. This is actually kind of crazy. So this is Bass Fishing Resource said that one scientific study showed that bass fry might not move up to even 1 to 2 feet during the first 6 months of their life.
Yeah. That sounds right.
Like they literally, because like you've seen them, like they'll ball up and just sit in a ball and just kind of just go like this and swim together. And so that's a fry. So let's imagine, you know, I forgot, I think Shannon O'Gorman said, and I know I've heard this statistic before from other biologists, like a bass grows, you know, about 10 inches in its first year of life, and then it slows like way down after that. So, I mean, let's say that even get to like we get to the 6 month point, these fish are 4 inches, 3 to 4 inches long. I mean, like you said, dude, like they're not going very far, like 1,000 feet. Even like, I mean, take 5 big steps and then think about being 3 inches long and having to take 5 big steps. Like, it's just not the same. Like, you're right. I think, like, just the more I'm thinking about it, I think a lot of these small fish, you figure out where they spawned really good last year, and you're going to find all the small fish you want to find. But you know what fascinates me, Drew? And I don't know if you've ever experienced this. John, I know you've been up north and fished a little bit, but like on the Great Lakes, where do bass fry go on the Great Lakes? Like, because I've been out like on Lake Huron on like a giant sand flat, and there's, you know, 1,000 smallmouth up there with beds. And then it's like they just all go poof and they're gone.
I mean, the rocks have to be big enough for a fry to hide under, a small little 1-2 incher. I mean, I know it's a sandy flat, but it's got to be enough pebbles there, right? Where they can live down just hiding there, I would think.
I have seen in big, like clear open lakes around here, and this is just largemouth, not smallmouth, but the little fry, they get into giant schools, and you just see like giant balls of like 5-inch bass. And I used to think, oh yeah, there's a bunch of bait fish, and then like I went over them and I looked at them and I was like, wait a second, these are actually like incredibly small largemouths. So I guess like maybe they like ball up even, and they just strengthen numbers until they're big enough that they can either eat their friend or they move on to greener pasture.
Dude, the fact that a bass even gets big enough to catch it, like that's what I tell everybody. Like people are like, man, I want to catch a 10-pounder, I want to catch a 6-pound smallmouth, whatever. I'm like, the fact that you caught a 4-pound largemouth, I don't think you understand what that bass went through in its life and how exceptional of a creature that it is. Like it beat 1 in 10 million odds. Because the other 10 million that were born that year, like they're dead and gone. They were dead and gone long before they ever got that big. It's just a really cool thought process. So,
yeah, no doubt. I actually remember catching a bunch of little ones. They were stacked up in a little calmer section of the Susquehanna where I found some grass up there in near Towanda, where we're going to be. So they were hiding in grass. When you find grass like that, that was a good spot for them. But what was funny, there was an opening in the grass where it was hard. You know what I mean? There's no grass growing up right there. You know, and can't remember if it was like hydrilla or what it was, but it was some sort of grass, and they were all in that open area right there, hiding in the grass. They come out and kind of hang out in that open spot and sun, whatnot. But I thought about something really funny. When you create a game like this, and I know it's $25, so you're not going to be some giant payout. Hopefully we can get, 40, 30, 40, 50 people in this, so it's decent. But when you create a game like this, next year we could always increase it or whatever people want to do. I think you're going to see people do stuff that we've never even thought of, like even making a mini A rig to get all 5 in like one cast, a teeny little A rig, and get literally you catch your whole limit like in one cast. Because if you can only catch one a cast, if you got one lure with one hook, and it's tough because they're so fast, and that 5-incher can get easily out raced by a 6 or 7 or whatever. If you could just get them all, if they'd all just come and chomp, that'd be pretty cool. But anyway, so people are going to come up with some crazy contraptions to try to get 5, because it's going to take you all day long to keep catching to try to get down to that holy grail 25-inch bag or close as you can to it to win these things. It's going to take, I don't think you can have a fish over 7 in your stringer. I mean, if there's enough people, if 20, 30 people get into this, I don't think you can have one over 7. I'll tell you that right now. That's my prediction. You got to have everything.
What's the size, the biggest you can put on there?
975.
Okay, so it has to be single digits. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I think if you just put a limit down of 7s and 8s, that could win it, because it's gonna be more difficult than people think. And then you really gonna have to put thought into it. You're gonna have to put effort into getting those fish. You're not just gonna. Most people are probably gonna think, yeah, I'm gonna sign up, which I hope they do. That way I can take their money. But yeah, I'll sign up and I'll get my fish at some point, or I'll just happen to catch 5 little ones. I mean, I've caught some small fish before, but most of the time those fish are 10 or 11 inches that you think are small. So you really have to put effort into catching those 6, 7, 8-inch ones.
Yeah, you do. Maybe it's a time of the year thing, but I think there will be a time where you can't win unless it's all under 7. If you're obviously all, going after it. Hey, Andrew Thomas has a good question. I think it's what if there's a tie? And I can't remember. I think it was the
fight.
The time. It was the time who got their fist fight.
We're gonna fist fight.
Fist fight on the stage. There's a fist fight.
Yeah, we got UFC boxing gloves. We're gonna clear out all the chairs, and you get the whole theater we're in to just fight it out. Whoever comes up victorious comes up victorious.
What would be an interesting way to do a tie in the micro bag is whoever has the biggest fish in their micro bag actually loses.
Huh.
So if you tie in overall inches, the person with the biggest one on their stringer
loses.
Yeah,
that's
loses.
true.
That way you're keeping the spirit of
Jake, some measurable output finally from Jake, man. I tell you what, been waiting. No, that's a good one, Jake. That's a real good one. That we'll probably, I'm not sure if we specified that in the rules or not, but Amanda and I were talking about that actually and thinking we might just have to do time, but I like that idea better. That and then time, because there's a good chance that might be a tie, the biggest.
Right.
When you have, actually, wait a second. That isn't, well, but if there's a tie, if 2 people have, and this might be what Andrew was talking about, the Holy Grail bag, the 25-inch bag, right? Then
that would have to
it's all 5 inches. So in that case, it is time. So that's what my brain went to when I saw that. Because
But I have to imagine that's going to be quite rare. So you're always going to have you're going to have I think a 30-inch bag is probably going to be more average, right? Because then you probably have a couple 6s, maybe a 35-inch bag.
Probably. But we should bring up some more photos real quick. And I've got some here. I can pull them up, Billy. Just so you guys know, the way that you score this micro bag is you can only have 1 finger on your fish maximum. You cannot have more than 1. Cannot do it. Won't allow it, guys. We have to be able to see if these fish are duplicates, if it's the same fish or not. So I need, or Amanda needs to see, her judges need to see the side of that fish. Now, I didn't have too hard of a time scoring them. They flopped a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. They settled down. And then you got to keep the lips centered on the board. So see the line of the numbers there, the catch board numbers? The mouth has to be in the center. You can't angle this thing to try to make it diagonal and get, a shorter score. You know what I mean? So then the tail has to be touching both the top and the bottom lines, right? So it's got to be centered on that board over the numbers. So if you imagine on there, that video there, or the picture there, those 2 lines that I drew, your tail needs to be on touching either side of those. So just keep your tail flat. And it is what it is on the length. But if you can keep it flat, manipulate it where it does not touch the next, 1/4-inch line, that's obviously what you want to try to do. The same way we try to do it with the big ones. And So they're like, that's not a bass, but you can see that tail is up. So that would be DQ'd because the tail's not centered. So that's kind of some of the stuff we're looking for. Let's see if I have any other. Nah, that's it. All right. That's all I wanted to show about that.
No fin clipping to get shorter bass.
Oh,
It's
God.
taking the option direction.
Amanda, the team at Real Tournament Management, trust me, they will catch that. That's very easy to catch. A clear, nice.
Jake, I can't wait to hear somebody be talking about their. I had a 30 bag, and they're going to talk about. People are going to think they're talking about 30 pounds. I know the 30 inches.
I got the dirty 30.
I got a dirty 30, boys.
I can't tell you how many times I've made a comment like, "Oh yeah, that's a 20" on Instagram, and people were like, "What are you talking about? That's not 20 pounds." So this whole like,
all the time. There was a dude on TikTok the other day. I was like, he said something about a fish. So I'm in this toxic relationship with TikTok where what I do is I just respond to people's comments with bigger fish when they bitch that my fish aren't big enough. You know what I mean? And so this one guy was like, "Oh, it's only like a 2-pounder." So I responded with a 5-pound, 21-inch largemouth that I caught. And I was like, "Well, here's a 21-incher for your trebles." And he was like, he didn't even read the comment because, he didn't see the little, inch thing. He's like, "That's like a 5-pounder, not a 21-pounder." And I'm like, oh my God, I'm dealing with dumb rednecks here. Like, I can't even do this right now. Like, come on.
TikTok's the worst about that because you get people that aren't like, they're just like seeing the video and then they just decide, "Oh, I'm gonna leave a comment."
Oh, dude, TikTok is the most toxic place. It's like from Star Wars when they're about to go into Mos Eisley and Ben Kenobi's like, "It's a wretched hive of disgust and whatever." It's like, yeah, that's TikTok. That's what that.
Yeah,
is.
they just gotta find like that little thing to dig on. Like I posted something that was talking about like Northern Secret, like the color from Mega Bass, and the guy sent a message or left a comment saying like, "Well, Missouri is not in the north, right?" And I'm just like, "What?" And I realized that he saw that the color of the jerkbait was Northern Secret and thought I was implying that it was in fact a Northern Secret. So.
Oh man. Any other micro bag comments before we just quickly touch on that 2-man team division?
I have a general fish measuring question.
Yeah.
Just so that I know this. Can we pinch the tails or no? Like just,
Yeah,
not touch them, but like,
Yeah.
on
the micro bag?
just
No.
any,
On
just
any of them, yeah, you can.
Okay.
You can pinch them in the KAS. It's like, I'm trying to think if Bassmaster's that way. I think Hobie's that way. Yeah, they're both that way. You can pinch them and try to get the most out of it. Micro bag, you just have to manipulate it where you get as little, makes it not touch the next line, obviously, but you still need to have it flat, like 90 degrees. That makes sense, straight on that board there. You can't get it out of that 90-degree sort of, and that's a sort of a judgment call on the tournament director. So don't put them in a weird position. Just keep it horizontal, guys. Keep the tail horizontal. You'll be good. So,
yeah, but anyway. it's not the KBF, that graphic that they have. It's not.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah, I got all my fish DQ from a tournament one time because I didn't read the rules. Always read the rules. I'm a stickler for rules and read every single rule.
It was actually our Ryan Yak Dragger who told us when we were at Possum Kingdom. He was like, "Yeah, you guys know you can pinch the tail in bass." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, I gained like a couple inches." And Drew's like, "Really?" So Drew tried it, and I think that you gained a few inches by pinching the tail.
Oh, for sure. I mean, over the course of a 2-day tournament, you're going to. But I didn't. Well, I don't know if I really did or didn't, because I know when I pinch it, any fish measuring, when I pinch it, I make sure I see what it can actually touch, and whenever if it actually touches that, I will pinch it down and then pull my hand off real quick and take that photo. I'll make sure I get a photo of showing that.
You gotta get some water on there.
I will make sure.
Yeah, well, and the thing is I like that because if you are pulled over by the DNR and they go to checking the size of fish, they pinch the tails.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
That is like in like musky anglers and dudes who catch when they're like it's a 51-incher, you'll see them like they'll take that tail and pinch that bad boy all the way down, and it's like,
and then they'll zoom in and you'll see it's just barely.
That's the true way to measure it. That's why we're doing it. The only, of course, if you guys don't know the history, the reason why that was not a rule, and it is a rule. You can do it in KAS, you can do it in Bassmaster, Hobie, probably lots of other clubs. But the reason it wasn't is because someone cheated one time with a fish tail they'd cut and put it in their pocket, and they had it, and they were covering with their hand when they were pinching the tail. They were covering, putting the new longer fish tail showing, and you couldn't tell there was a cut fish tail, and so he was gaining like whatever it was, half-inch every fish or something, based on
That's
that.
insane.
But we will be able to catch that now with just visually. We know what we're looking for, so we don't mind leaving it, going back to the pinch
He's not
way.
telling anybody, but he's got an AI that's watching everybody. It knows what you're doing.
Exactly.
And we have a micro bag media boat too. So anyone thinking they're gonna cheat in the micro bag, no, we don't.
We don't.
We actually have drones. We have a drone that just follows you.
It just follows you.
If anybody cheats in the micro bag
I love you're like on the Susky and there's some dude out there trying to cheat on the micro bag, and here just comes a damn jet boat screaming, wow, like I don't think so. Put that fish back, boy.
The right lights are on like a police car. Yeah, it's coming up.
Drew just jumps out. You're under arrest.
If there's a drone flying around and you catch a microfish, you hold it up, and they're like, I don't see anything. Like, look, no, it's right there.
Your whole career derailed because you cheated on a micro bag.
Yeah. Banned for life.
There's some good questions over there. Let's see. Yeah, one for all right. Yeah, Pi Squared. Yeah, those were my daughter's blue sandals, of course, obviously. But let's see. All right, well, guys, yeah, maybe Catch will come out with a micro
well, don't they have
measure board one day?
They have that little tiny one that you can use for that. What do they call it? It's like their scientific one, but it's for like people who are in the field, and it's like
but it's not like
tiny.
It's not like 10, 12 inches. Is it tiny or is it?
I don't know. I'm curious. Like, should we make that legal? That could be like.
I don't see why not. If it's a Catch product that's for measuring fish, I say make it legal. Now team division. There's I will say that shout out to probably the most successful team back on the River Bassin Trail when I did the 2-man team division was definitely Lance Cooley and Tim Perkins. They probably won 2 or 3 team of the year titles.
Old Tim. I ain't seen him in a
Yeah,
while.
he's running it back, dude. Did you know that? You go to the Shoaly Palooza page.
Yeah.
Click on register, which by the way, we're up to probably, I think we're at almost 30.
Nice.
When you count the unique people in the team division, I think there's 24 in the individual, and then there's a couple teams that are not in the individual. So we're getting close to 30. So that's pretty cool because we're still a long ways away. But you guys, don't forget to sign up. Sooner the better. You will miss your $100 gift bag from the sponsors. $100 worth of product from our sponsors for the first 100 who enter. So if you're in the Peach State Kayak Anglers Tournament, you're going to double dip. You obviously you have the best chance to win. You live there in Georgia. You might as well sign up now and make sure you get the $100 gift bag. But team division, Tim Perkins and Lance Cooley won the most team of the year titles. Clayton Hask and Ken Morris were the final team of the year winners. But Lance and Tim, why I bring this up, did not fish together. And I don't even think they communicated where they were going to go, but they did not fish together. So what do you guys think about, because think about it, guys, there's no communication by cell phone allowed, but you can talk to other anglers on the water. If you can, and you're floating with your partner, and guess what? Now you have a little bit of advantage as a team. Hey, this is what's working. They're hitting jerk baits, or they're hitting spinner baits on wood or whatever it is, and you can help your partner right there. Of course, the only downside is if you're in the individual division, which of course a lot of people will be fishing both, you're kind of helping someone that could also beat you. So obviously they can only jump you if you did help your teammate out and he passed you in the individual. It's only going to be one spot that affected you, if that makes sense. I would think if it was me, I might think about floating with my teammate and like being able to share information, because it's going to help us both probably do better in the individual.
I agree with you.
And yeah, I mean,
I've done a team river float. Like we did one for Moyak, which is in an area that we're going to this year. And I floated with my teammate. I think it was an advantage because he started catching some bigger fish, and I'm like, well, what are you using? Turns out that a darker colored topwater was working, and like we ended up doing a lot better because we were able to communicate that. Whereas like otherwise, like if like one person's on the lake and one person's on the river, you're basically in different worlds. So
it's true, but Tim and Alex never did.
Talking about joining up, and I didn't think about not being able to call somebody or call your partner. But we love river floats anyways. But like if you're floating, especially like the shoal bass, like you might want to stop at a shoal and be like, hey, no, this is where the fish is, if you have experience with that. And then if you're catching them on a shoal and with your partner, be like, hey, no, let's just stay here all day. It could really make a difference.
Yeah. If you think about it, if you're at 90 something inches, like you were saying earlier, Alex, you're already up there. you're probably not upgrading a lot more. You know what I mean? You could catch a fish that might get you another quarter inch here and there, and you're certainly going to still try. But if your partner only has 80 something, it's probably better to take him over there and be like, look, dude, they're here. Come over here, make some casts in this spot. They're, I got him stacked up. Get him up there at least before you go back to working on yourself. There's just some strategy to that I thought was pretty interesting.
What's cool too is to think about is like there have been days when John's catching them really good in one area of the lake or a river, and I'm catching them really good in another. And it's like, do you take the chance and roll the dice and like go separate places because you could both, do well in the team division? I think that's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be some serious communication and like strategy and like, hey, if it gets down to like 11:30 and you're not catching them, come my way and come put in at this ramp and come find me or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, you see, I don't know. That's going to be cool. That's going to be like a cool, I don't know. You're right. Strategically, I think that's going to be interesting. Now, I know, John, I mean, I think we can both agree on this. Like when it's Shoaly Palooza, dude, we're probably going to be floating some river together, and it's going to be like, we're going. I can't wait. I can't wait for Shoaly Palooza because shoal bass are a lot like spotted bass, and it's going to be May in middle of Georgia, and I'm probably going to be able to throw a topwater and a spinnerbait and just wreck them. And like, I can't wait because I'm going to be over here just head hunting like nobody's business, and John's going to be like, "Hey, I caught another red eye," and I'm going to have to be like, "John, get your crap together. We're going to get shoal back here, man."
He's up a creek.
And I'm like, "No, John, no."
There's no doubt, John, when you see a creek entering the river, I bet you John goes to every one of those, gets out the small stuff, and fishes the first like 50 yards of that creek, and then comes back out and then joins the party back out in the main river. I almost guarantee that's going to happen.
Are those red eye? Are those like rock bass / goggle eye? Or
no, those are actually like red eye, but there really isn't. I'm trying to think. There isn't a place in any of the water here you could catch them. I mean, I've caught them before on the Ocmulgee, but they're not. There's so many different species of these red eyes now, but they're not. They're hard to find. You could maybe still catch some because they were there before the shoal bass were. That was actually the Ocmulgee would have been the Altamaha bass, I believe. It's or Bartram's maybe. It's Bartram's, not Altamaha bass. But anyway, but they're not. They don't get as small anyway. but that'll be interesting. What's that?
I said Georgia just has so many bass. It's crazy.
Yeah, it does for sure. But that's going to be really fun. And the other thing, again, bringing Friday back up. Friday could be the telltale day on what your team decides to do, really, on Saturday. Because you go one way, I'm going to go the other way, do a different float or different lake or whatever. And then tomorrow, based on what happens, we can now decide, okay, let's both do this tomorrow. That way we have all day together and can communicate in person to help each other just get higher.
Well, and two, I think like with river tournaments, rivers tend to fish a little bit better in the afternoon and some times of the year. And so that's going to be interesting too, because like, again, someone could put in some work.
That's a good point.
On a river in an afternoon, especially like in May. I mean, because, depending on what we do the rest of March, March and April here, I mean, it could either be warm, it could be cool. We could have more cold fronts. I mean, and so we could get to Shoaly Palooza and, I mean, the water still be in the 50s. And so like that stuff may pop hard in the afternoon and be able to get those fish to eat, or we get down there and that water's in the 60s and the 70s because it's been warm. I love it. Like my brain's working on all this stuff, like just thinking about it, because I think it's going to be very interesting to see how people approach those tournaments for sure.
Yeah, I am.
And the sunset question from earlier too, 8:15 to 8:30 on average in Georgia in May.
Perfect.
So CP30.
Yeah, so 3 to 7.
Is this me messing up or is this everybody else?
You sound normal.
It was me.
Can you hear me?
You sound normal to me, Alex. Is it Alex? You guys all good? Yeah, it sounds normal to me. You can go out and come back in if you want, Alex. Yeah, let's see. He's going to go out. But yeah, team will be interesting. And just so everyone knows, it's your 5 biggest from each person. So it's 10 fish total for the team. That's how that's kind of awarded. So 10 fish total. Yeah, we'll get Alex back in here in a minute. Is how that
really
works.
I'm curious how people decide to do it though, because there's merit in every strategy, like
there is.
Especially if you pair up with somebody in like a Hobie with live scope, like it's probably not going to make a lot of sense for them to go down the river.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, the other thing, it's true, it's not. But the other thing I just thought of too, Jake, if you're considering only doing team, right?
Right.
Think about that. As crazy as I think you should probably enter the individual and team if you're going to do team at all, because think about it. If you're going to float with your partner and you have someone there to help each other, right? Get a little bit, I think you're going to get a little bit better finish on the individual because you're in a team, if that makes sense. You got someone to bounce ideas off of, especially if they know a little bit about, bass fishing, which I'm sure your partners will. Anyone doing this event probably will. I think that could help you get higher in the individual. So it'd be a good idea to do the team and the individual. And then the other thing I loved about the team division when we, obviously beside the camaraderie part of it, I think it's going to help get a few more people there, because if a buddy might be like, hey, come on, man, you got to come join me, and we can just ride together and save on gas, stay together. We can, work as a team in this whole thing. Now, if you ride together, you still have to find a shuttle, which, it's not too hard. You can, that's what Discord would be good for, working out details like that with other people, other anglers in the event, or of course you can call an outfitter nearby and try to get a shuttle. There's definitely ways.
And for the Poplar Bluff event, we will have a guy that I know that will be doing, he's an outfitter that will be doing shuttles for that one. So that one's covered. So if you need one, we'll have one.
We'll have one. And usually there's someone putting in at every access point. And I mean, this may not be the smartest thing to do, but when you have this many people in a tournament, I just float down the river, show up at another one of the takeouts when the tournament's over, start making phone calls to get a ride back, or just see
I'll
someone
come pick
taking
him
out.
up.
Yeah.
If I'm not doing anything, I'll come get him.
It won't be hard. Someone's going to be at every ramp or access point, I'm sure. And you just hitch a ride.
I'm curious how many friendships are going to be destroyed in the team division when somebody decides to go micro bag when the game is on the line.
Oh, me and John will definitely get in a screaming match.
Oh yeah, we're fighting.
It's like you're an inch away and they're over there filling out their micro bag.
Yeah, John's going to be pushing for a micro bag team division next year.
Yeah,
he is. Oh, that's funny. But yeah, so team will be fun. I'd love to hear the stories about people on stage. Like, man, we drove together. We had the trip of our lives, like driving 12 hours from, whatever, Illinois to Shoalipalooza, and that's just cool that the memories are going to be made, and it's going to help, lower the cost for people as well. So that will be cool. I can't think of anything else with the team division that was really a big.
Can you only, just to clarify, you can only have one team. You can't have like team partners with different people.
Well, you can over the course of the season. That's a good thing to bring up.
Yeah.
But not obviously during that one tournament, but you can over the course of a season, because that's actually a good point. We didn't mention the AOY and how it works. We've mentioned it on other podcasts, but Team of the Year and Angler of the Year work the same way. We got 5 regular season events, right? You got the Shoalipalooza, the Wild Whitehall, the Ozarkana and Poplar Bluff, and then the Fiesta on the Susky and the Wisconsin River Fest. So out of those 5, you have to fish 2 for AOY, right? Just of the regular season. And then that gets combined with your broodstock score. So so if you think about it, if you had 2 people, or John, like if you had one person that said they could go to 2 events with you and they can't do the other 3, but you wanted to fish, just say 2 more, you wanted to fish 4 of the 5, you could have a different teammate for the other 2 events that the other partner can't go to, or the other 3. If for some reason someone fishes all 5, like Dustin Hoy, he's fishing all 5, and maybe other people will, but he could have 2 different teammates. Now you might say, well, that seems like an unfair advantage, but it's not really, because if it was the same person, that would be better than having a second person, because you'd be calling out, because he's probably going to have potentially one of his best finishes with one of his partners and then one of his best with the other, and that would be his 2. So it's like, those don't work. So then you go to the broodstock. And that's
for Angler of the Year, you have to at least do 2 with the same person if you want to try to compete with that. And then, but I didn't even think about it that far ahead. But of course, we'll see how it happens. But yeah, I like these extra options and stuff.
Yeah,
now,
that's why.
We decide, do we have a micro bag Angler of the Year?
I mean,
why not?
Why not? We could do it. I don't know why we shouldn't. I'm sure we can come up with some micro.
I have a great idea too. We can, instead of like a trophy, we make them a custom 5-inch catch board. I'm sure that we could like get Catch to make one, or we just make it ourselves where you like saw off 5 inches. That'd be perfect.
We can find a way to get a little trophy for sure and do an AOI. I don't see why we can't do that. That'd be fun. I just want to see people in it and doing it, having fun. And I don't care if they're in it to hedge a little bit, to make sure that they don't trunk slam and just feel like leaving, give them a reason to stay in the game. And hey, anytime you're catching fish in a tournament, it's fun. Your heart's pounding. It's fun. So it gives you another reason, another way to stay in the game and have fun. So I just want to see 20, 30, 40 people in it. So we got a lot of good footage, a lot of cool talk, and like we can do a podcast like this after the first event, and let's just see what kind of happened, what their strategies were, and all that cool stuff. So,
what
Drew,
micro bag tournament trophy should say is that 4 inches is good enough. But anyway, go on. I'm sorry I interrupted.
Yeah. 4 inches wasn't good enough. Is that what you said? Isn't good enough?
It is good enough. It is.
Well, 4 inches you can't. You got a minimum is 5, so you have to say 4 inches.
Wow.
I guess I would. The shirt will say I guess she was right. 4 inches isn't enough. That's the shirt.
Bingo. That's the shirt we need to make. If you don't make that shirt, I'm going to be pissed because I want it and I want to wear it. So there you go.
The guys at Ashigan are going to make those shirts, I think. So they're going to be a co-branded Ashigan Kayak Adventure Series shirt. So,
I love it.
We'll do that with them. That's right up their alley. Trust me. What were you saying, Billy?
That escalated quickly. I was gonna go back to what John had said. So with the team event, I think Raccoon Creek is a good example because Dustin Hoy created the team and it's just called Raccoon Creek Team. So the Raccoon Creek team has to fish. The team that he created, they have to fish a minimum of 2. Yeah. But the people that fish it can be mixed up. It like Dustin doesn't have to have the same partner twice for AOI.
Well, I think you would. Well, the team is with Raccoon Creek Outfitters right now. It's just whoever he partners with at that event. That's Raccoon Creek Outfitters. The next one would have to be Raccoon Creek Outfitters 2. See what I'm saying? I think I'll talk to Amanda. We'll confirm that before the first event, but I'm pretty sure it has to be because that gives Dustin it's basically the team is just Dustin. You know what I mean? You keep rotating other people when really that's not fair to the other people who are, you know what I mean? Like it's the 2 same people the entire time and or whatever. So I think it's got to be a 2.
Now just me and John have to come up with a really good name for our team.
Yeah. We do allow team names and because the Tourney X is cool because it will show us your last name. So you guys can come up with your own team names and good chance to plug some sponsors. If you guys have somebody supporting you guys out there, not John and Rudd individually, you guys got plenty of sponsors. You could do that, of course, find a mutual sponsor and do that. But I think you guys are on to more of maybe a creative. Yeah, you could. Yeah, go sell it. Hey, we're going to go sell it. So we'll see what happens. But any other team thoughts before we wrap this up today? Can't think of any.
I think that everybody, just good luck everybody else because me and John are coming for your throat. John has his talents and I have mine, and they're both a very specific skill set. And we will find you and we will beat you in these tournaments.
Yep.
Amen. Hallelujah.
We will see how that all shakes down. We'll clip that.
Do it.
And we'll clip it. Fisher McDaniel just says for the new guys that have never fished the shoals during May, it can be some work, and that's true. It can be work. When the water's high, the water's high, it can definitely be a lot of work and dangerous as well. So you guys got to be careful, know what you're doing, and that's just kind of on the anglers, but we always got to mention it. And it's kind of like
we're gonna have some people die. It's all right.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how many people flip kayaks. Yeah.
I got to imagine there's going to be areas where people who feel a little nervous about it can single access and just fish specific areas, right?
What's the question? Say it again.
Like, is there going to be, does it play towards the single like access?
You can always do that. Always, especially with motors, you know what I mean? Being allowed. I mean, especially, but even if not, you can still single access. And there's enough good access in Georgia on the rivers that there's floats that you can do that are shorter, like floats too on that Friday. But yeah, you can single access stuff. It's not as easy if the water's up and moving. If you go downstream, it's going to be a little bit of a fight to get back, but you can do it. But it's one of those things, talking about, everybody says this, every tournament director has to say, or person that's running it. I'm technically not the director, but obviously I'll be up there saying the same thing. Like, you guys be safe, be careful. The water's up, know what you're doing. Don't go do something you've never, scouted before, just run something randomly on tournament day. Just be safe. It's kind of like when I leave, and it's raining or something. Your wife says, hey, it's raining. Be really careful. Drive safe. It's like, oh, good thing you said that. Otherwise I was going to drive reckless. Thanks for reminding me. It's like, you still got to say it. You know what I mean? Like, even though you were everyone's going to be safe as they can. And you're all big boys. So, but
John, I got our team name, buddy. Dale Reed. Dale Reed just dropped it. This is the greatest team name ever. the money dingers.
The money.
Oh, yeah.
all the time, and you throw the dinger all the time. That's our
Someone,
team. The money dingers.
All right. Well, someone watching right now, while Rudd and Dalton are right here active and they can't sign up, someone go sign up for the team division and name your team the Money Dingers. Just steal their name right now, and they will be. They'll pay you.
Hold it hostage.
They'll pay you for that team.
That's
name.
right.
You
That's
know,
right.
have to get Amanda to switch it. But
It's like those people that buy domain names and just park them.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah.
I own hundreds of them. No joke. Like it is a pastime of mine that I buy about 50 a year, and I have them. One of these days, one of them's going to pay off. I'll just tell you that much.
Microbag.com.
Yeah.
Do not
It's
type that
actually
in your
go
URL
there right now. Go
Do
that.
not type that on there. Oh, this is getting
It's
off the
vacant.
rails.
Now's your chance.
It's vacant.
Yep. This domain is for sale for $2,100.
Oh, but okay,
Jeez.
so it's not completely vacant. Someone's got it.
Yeah, somebody's got it.
Someone's
Put
got
it
it. They're pulling a Rudd. They're trying to
Yeah.
they're just holding on, waiting, and they had no idea that
I tried to get Creek Fishing Adventures a while back, but someone bought it. I don't know who that was. John.
I don't think I did anything with. I actually think I ended up selling it or something, but to FLW. But I owned at the very beginning. I owned FLW kayakfishing.com and stuff like that with FLW and some of the other companies. But I don't know. They contacted me and were like, "You can't use our something about legally that I couldn't even do that." I was like, "What? How could I not do that?" So they tried to anyway. So I was like, "Yeah, you guys."
Well, that's not true.
No,
you guys can have it.
That's definitely not true. I mean, the American currency buys what the American currency buys. And the American currency's got to buy back whatever it is you want once it's been bought.
I can't remember what they said. I'll have to go back and see if I can find that correspondence and what they were actually saying. But anyway, all right, guys. I mean, that's it, I guess, unless you guys got something else. So I do have one more thing.
Yeah. Since we were talking about it.4Check this out. This is the 16-inch crappie board. And you notice how, like panfish are tall, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's got like the nice tall gate on it, so you can get those little fat panfish in there. And they also
one, the carbonate. That's the one, because that's lighter. Drill a hole in that thing and put it on a belt loop if you're waiting. If you're going
only micro bag and you don't expect to catch anything over 16, there you go.
Yeah,
not even bringing a bigger one.
Yeah, and that'll be when you catch like that 22, and you gotta put 16, and you put your hand there and you measure on the other half.
You do have to wade. You have to stay tethered to your kayak, even a micro bag. You can't just take off some creek with that on your, because your pictures have to be on the kayak. So
that's what I was going
to ask. You have to stay tethered. You can't just go. So
you can drag it somewhere, but you have to keep it. You have to keep your kayak tied to you.
Yeah. Exactly. So come here, Sophia. You want to say goodbye to everybody on the show? We're going to end the show here. My daughter's coming down. Come on over.
Can you have one more thing, Drew?
All right, what's up?
We want to remind everyone that we have a new segment coming out.
Oh, jeez.
And it's called Quiet, Drew. No,
we knocked over a trophy. A Bassmaster trophy just fell.
All right, it's the viewer voicemail. So Kayak Adventure Series has a phone number, and this is presented by Yak Attack. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask you guys, just like you do in the comments, we want you guys to call into this number and leave a message. And just to prove that it works, I know you guys believe me, but I called and left myself a message. So see if I can make this work live.
Hi, Kayak Adventure Series. It's Billy with Kayak Adventure Series. Billy Kayak. I don't have a question or a comment.
Hi.
I don't even think I have an opinion right now, but I wanted to be featured on the show, and I wanted to introduce this viewer voicemail to everyone. So this is an actual message that I'm leaving at 513-202-4714. You can call that number and leave a message for Kayak Adventure Series.
All right, there you go. It was a 1-minute message, but I think 33 seconds was enough of that. We can all agree. 513-202-4714. Someone that's listening right now, we have 19 people live, and however many will watch this recorded. Call in and leave us a message. It's our way to try to reach out to you guys. You got something horrible you want to say about Alex Rudd? Call that number and leave that message. And we'll
want to hear it.
I want to hear it.
Yeah. So
tell everyone bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
All right.
Love to do it. Bye, buddy.
Close it out with some
Bye, buddy.
nice, relaxing music. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, John and Alex. It was amazing. It was a great video. Thank you, Jake and Drew. And we will see everyone next Wednesday at 11 a.m.
Bye.
Bye, Sophia.
Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.